FSPN, the most trusted name in fake news. I'm Frankie from Flatbush with a little Newsday Tuesday coming at Tuesday. It is January the 13th, 2026. We got some news for you. Not a lot of news with the Jets, but we're going to talk about what's going on in the NFL. Oh my goodness. There's a lot going on. We got a docket. We got a ticker up here. By the way, you should pay attention to the ticker. Lots of good information on the ticker. If you're not paying attention to the ticker, then you're not going to learn as much as you could. And if you don't learn as much as you could, boy, oh boy, do you stink. Then we got a logo switcher over here, and we got a docket over here. First thing on the docket, NFL Roundup. It's the coaching carousel. Harbaugh out. Mike Tomlin out. Marcus Freeman, no interest in the NFL. Thank you very much. So the surprising one is Mike Tomlin resigned from the Steelers, and that's the second head coach now that Aaron Rodgers has gotten fired. Good job, Aaron. You got Robert Saleh fired. You pissed everybody off with the Jets, or at least Woody Johnson. And then he got all cranky pants, and then he went cranky pants and said, all right, fine, we'll fire your fucking head coach. How do you like that? You know, Woody's not above cutting off his nose to spite his face. I mean, this man will cut off noses left, right, and center off his own face. So anyway, he gets Robert Saleh fired because he wasn't performing well and the Jets were losing. Still a stupid decision to fire Saleh when they did. But nonetheless, and now you have an all-time bad playoff game against the Houston Texans. They got that ferocious defense, a Robert Saleh clone defense, by the way. It's not very difficult. What's difficult is getting those players. Ooh, they good. They so good, man. They got so many good defensive linemen. Daniel the Real Deal Hunter and Will Anderson and all these people. And they stifled the Steelers' offense, which did not look good at all, even with the return of DK Metcalf after he returned from his suspension for punching a fan in the face for calling him his government name. His real name is TOMLIN or something like that. Apparently DK doesn't like it. Some people say the fan said other things. We don't know. We're not the judge and jury. What we do know is DK went into the stands and hit the fan, and you shouldn't do that, DK, I think. And the NFL agreed, and they suspended him 2 games, but now he was back for the playoffs. And you figure, okay, now they're going to get back on track. Well, not so much. 6 points, no touchdowns, look like shit. They lose. And I don't know, man. Aaron Rodgers looked pretty done. I mean, maybe he changed his mind, but walking off that field, I mean, Dick Chimney had a good word. He said lonely. He said Aaron Rodgers looked lonely walking off that field, and that, I think, was right. That's how it looked to me as well. There was not a big, to-do about him coming off the field. The Steeler fans didn't seem particularly anything, as opposed to when Roethlisberger. Now, the guy played for them 1 year. Roethlisberger was there for 20 or whatever. So much different, but still, it was a weird feeling. Steeler fans very, very frustrated with Tomlin, and I'm sure Rodgers. And now, probably Rodgers done. Definitely Tomlin out. Though anybody wanting to acquire him is going to have to trade for him. Now, one of the things that some Jet fans are going to say is, can't we get any of these guys? What about Harbaugh? What about Tomlin? Can't we get Stefanski? That's how the average Jet fan sounds. And the answer is no. We cannot get those people because they don't want to come here. We cannot get a top-notch and I don't know how many times I have to tell this to people, but I guess we'll just keep going over it and over it because, well, I'll let you figure out why. But this is not a good place to work. We are in New Jersey, shithole state. High taxes, terrible weather, can't pump your own gas. You shake hands with a lady, she gives you mononucleosis. Just go ask Sammy Darnold about it. In addition to that, the team has no quarterback and has a meddlesome owner who's a bottom 5 owner in the league, who sometimes has a big cash budget. Okay, good. Sometimes not. Sometimes he gets impetuous and meddlesome, and you never know what's going to go on with this guy. And we haven't won in 15 years. And we have no path to getting a great quarterback. At least right now. Unless Muji can move up to 1, somehow sell the farm to 1, and then you get the quarterback, but you don't build out the rest of the team. I'm not sure if that's going to work either. So it's not good time for the Jets. I hate to keep saying that. In addition to that, we're in a division with Drake May and Josh Allen, neither of whom is going to slow down anytime soon. So you got to compete against Josh Allen, Drake May, both 2 elite quarterbacks, and then your other competition is Miami, which is not in the same geographic location. They are in a state with no state income tax, sunshine, grass on the field, beautiful women on Miami Beach, and we're in New Jersey with Snooki. So, the Miami situation is not good right now at the moment, but they do have things that are appealing about it, whereas we have nothing. So, no, we can't. It doesn't matter what we would trade, what we would pay. We're not getting any of these people. The only thing we can hope for, which is surprising, more Jet fans don't understand this and didn't understand it from the beginning. We have to hope that Aaron Glenn develops into a good coach. Is he a good coach right now? Head coach? No, sir. No. Is not. But could he develop into one? Yes, I think he could. There's signs. There are signs. And so that's what we have to hope and pray for, that Glenn's the guy and we develop him that way. And then we just keep paying him. He stays here for 20 years. And if that were to happen, that would mean somehow, some way we find a quarterback, a franchise quarterback. They're hard to find. And, just look at Tomlin and Harbaugh. You want to talk about Tomlin and Harbaugh? Tomlin and Harbaugh struggled when they didn't have a quarterback. What do you mean, Frankie? Well, Harbaugh came in with Flacco, peak Flacco, and an all-time great defense, Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and all them boys. So had the elite defense plus Flacco. Say what you want about later day Flacco. Back then, he was, if not elite, very good. Then he gets Lamar at the end of Flacco era. And Lamar, and then he's good, no problems, until Lamar starts getting injured these last few years, and now all of a sudden they have problems. The defense fell off a bit. Lamar's getting injured. Now he doesn't have a quarterback. The defense isn't as good. All of a sudden, Harbaugh's not as good a coach. There he goes. Tomlin was the same thing. Ben Roethlisberger's there, Hall of Fame quarterback. They're able to build the defense because they have the quarterback in place. Same thing with the Flacco, Lamar. Once you have the quarterback, then you just build everything else. In other words, the player quality goes up everywhere else once you have the quarterback settled. And then, so it was Roethlisberger, no problems. They're winning Super Bowls, going to playoffs, winning playoff games. Then Roethlisberger starts to go down. Everybody's like, oh no. He comes back for one more year. And then after Roethlisberger is done, what has it been for Tomlin? All of a sudden, he's not so good of a coach. It's the players. You want a minimum of, competency at the coaching ranks, but for the most part, you got to get the players, and then you do have to coach them. You don't want an Adam Gase situation, but all you really need is competence at the coaching spots, including head coach, and then what you really need is a top-notch play caller combined with the top-notch quarterback, and you're off and running. And then, of course, you need the offensive line to make sure he's protected, not getting killed, et cetera, et cetera. But that's how it goes. So that's where we are. It's a wild time in the NFL. We are mostly sitting on the sidelines right now because we have an opening, but it's at defensive coordinator. Now, it's been silencio for the Jets in terms of this DC. We've learned they've requested permission to talk to the defensive backs coach with the Vikings. We've heard Wink Martindale mentioned, but the Jets themselves have said nothing. Total silencio. And I'm checking my feed right now to make sure there hasn't been an announcement. We have not announced any interviews or anything. Now, some of this is because the head coaching cycle here is so ferocious and so crazy. You know, a lot of these things have to get settled because any DC candidate might want to go to somebody else's team depending on who gets hired as the head coach. So the rumors are that we might have already, rumors, when I say rumors, I mean things that Country Club Connor Hughes has said and Zach Rosenblather, that we might have already interviewed Wink Martindale because he's a free agent, you know, no other contracts. He got fired from Michigan. So maybe we did, maybe we didn't, but we don't know. And we did request Durante Jones from the Vikings. We also still don't know if, as of this moment, all the people who are coming out from college, which is important as well in terms of the draft. But so far, silencio, as far as the DC is concerned. The Jets also signed Bailey Zappi to a futures contract. Any hope in Bailey Zappi, Frankie? No. Bailey Zappi is basically a practice squad upgrade over Brady Cook. So I like the signing in that, you know, Muji and AG saw an opportunity to upgrade over Brady Cook, and they took it. Bailey Zappi is a guy who can be on the practice squad. You can elevate him. You can make him your third quarterback, and he can do a below average job as opposed to horrible job, which is what Brady Cook did. So that's an upgrade. Is it a big needle-moving move? No. But it is improving on the margins, and you do need to do that whenever you can. It was like, well, yeah, why not? Let's get an upgrade over Brady Cook for quarterback 3. All right. It doesn't really affect anything. You know, Brady Cook's still going to be on the roster for the 90-man roster in camp, and if he comes in and he just looks totally different, okay, hey. Then you get rid of Bailey Zappi. It's no big deal. So there's that. That'll do it for the NFL Roundup. Oh. Well, what about the college Roundup? Hang on a second. Sometimes the producers on this show, you know, there's a lot of people who have producers, like Connor Hughes and Zach Rosenblather. They have producers to produce their show. You know who produces this show? Oh, Frankie. So I got to type in all this stuff. College Roundup. So the next thing is the College Roundup. Now, we got Trinidad Chambliss and Dante Moore. They might be coming into the draft. They might not. Trinidad Chambliss, his waiver got denied by the NCAA. He still has 2 methods to appeal. He first appeals to NCAA, one of their subcommittees or whatever. They'll probably deny it, and then his lawyer, which, you know, he has his lawyer says they're going to take it up in court, which I don't know how successful that's going to be, because unless the NCAA did something illegal, then I'm not sure how you're going to get relief in the court system when there are specified rules, and they seem to me they followed the rules, but what do I know? I'm not a lawyer, and they denied it for reasons based on their rules. Are you going to do bring it into court and say they didn't follow the rules, and they're going to say yes we did. Here it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the rules. The player didn't do this, didn't do that. He didn't satisfy the rules, therefore it was denied. It's nothing against the kid. He didn't do what he was supposed to do, or what have you, or you know whatever the specifics are. They think they're going to win. I'm not so sure. So then Trinidad Chambliss comes in. Does he become an option for the Jets? No. He is a mid-round pick, and you could take him if he'd be good for, the Eagles or, some team that has a quarterback, but, they might want to improve on the back end, a just-in-case guy. So that's not the type of guy that we want. Now, it could be that, let's say we sign Malik Willis and Marcus Mariota, and we trade Justin Fields or something. And we signed those two, and we don't draft Dante Moore with the second pick. We decide to punt on young quarterback till next year. But Trinidad Chambliss is sitting there in the 5th round, and we want to take a shot. Oh, okay, yeah. So that's where he could come in. Now, Dante Moore, speaking of him, he has not decided to do anything as far as we know. As far as what's been announced, and we've been watching this closely. We have the transfer portal things going on, people coming and going and trying to speculate. Now, one of the things that did happen is Dylan Raiola signed with Oregon, and you think to yourself, all right, that means Moore's coming into the draft, right? Now, in the announcement, they did say if it's so happens that Moore comes back, Dylan Raiola, who's known as Mini Mahomes, because of how he looks, not how he plays, he's willing to sit behind Dante Moore. Now, this makes no sense to me because this would be Dylan Raiola's junior year. And with the amount of money that you can make now, he's going to make the money he signed for no matter what. But with the money you can make anywhere, he could have made the same amount of money from Oregon as anywhere else. Dylan Raiola was reported, I think, around $5 million. Why would you go and waste your junior year sitting behind somebody? That's no bueno for your development and for going into the league. So I really doubt that that's going to happen. If it is, a situation where Raiola sits, I think that's a horrible decision by himself and his representatives. He needs to go and play. He's played 1.5 years so far, got injured halfway through this year. He needs to get reps. He needs to get games started. He needs to start building his resume for the league. This NIL stuff is great, but at the end of the day, you're going to make your career or not in the NFL. And if you want to have a long, sustained career, you need to get a lot of reps and games started under your belt and a lot of throws. Ideally 1,000 or more pass attempts. So, hopefully this kid knows that. And if so, then Moore will come into the draft and then there's more options for teams. Not that I think we're going to take him. I don't know if we would, but at least there'll be more options and we can perhaps have some trades occur. Maybe we could, if Moore comes in, maybe we could trade out of 2, for example, if we don't want him. Alex Anzalone just had a baby, so we're obviously keeping track. In fact, I'm going to follow Alex Anzalone because that's one of the guys I want in free agency. Him and his wife just had their 3rd child. Congratulations to the Anzalones. All right, so that's it with College Roundup. Sam Levitt wound up at LSU. More guys jockeying for a position. We'll see how it all ends up in the next few days. Now, the third talking point here is Jets Media Roundup. There's not a lot of Jets Media right now, but Country Club Connor Hughes and Zach Rosenblather did do a Jets final drive the other day. And they said now this show, the Jets final drive, starring Country Club Connor and Zach Rosenblather, is now going to be weekly. So every week you're going to hear these doofuses give their dumb opinions. Now, the reason we have to pay attention to them is they have sources. They don't know anything about football, but boy, oh boy, do they got sources. One of the things they don't understand, because they don't even, and these people, it's kind of fascinating to watch people who don't even follow college football at all. Not that I'm Josh Pate or anything, but I have been watching the games. I have been scouting the main guys and not just watching the games, scouting them. Big difference. Yes, I am a graduate of the Scouting Academy. Thank you very much. But some things they don't understand is the difference between Moore and Simpson. For example, they both say they're both raw. They don't have enough games. True. The difference is Dante Moore has started 20 games, played in 29. That's a lot of experience, and he's 20 years old. So at 20 years old. He started 20 games and played in 29 at the college level. Whereas Simpson is 23 years old and only has 15 games started. So much different. So you can't just say, well, just take Ty Simpson then. Well, Ty Simpson's a very difficult grade to give because of his age, because of the fact he sat behind Jalen Milroe for a year, which he should not have done given his age and situation. And now you have Ty Simpson with an injury history. This year he had 3 different injuries. They said Country Club keeps saying Ty Simpson was benched in the last game he played. In the playoff, he was not benched. He was injured. It's like these guys just don't watch the games, man. It's like crazy. And they don't care to. I mean, of course, they just need their narrative so that they can, do their clickbait stuff and get paid millions of dollars. But nonetheless, so there's a lot of difference between Dante Moore and Ty Simpson. And Ty Simpson is a very, very difficult grade because of the season he had, and the fact that this is the only sample size you have is this year. If you had a second year to grade on him, then you could make some different conclusions, but it's very difficult. And by the way, all of the grades for all of the relevant college quarterbacks, those are available to the FSPN channel members, the Frankie channel members. Click the join button down below. We got different price tiers, $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month. You get to see the grades and how we grade them and stuff like that. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was Sam Darnold. I have a theory, and this will probably be its own video. But I have a theory. It's called the age 27 theory. My theory is that a lot of quarterbacks, the light suddenly goes on at age 27. Some of the examples I use, Matthew Stafford never had a completion percentage above 65% before age 27, and after age 27, he never had one below. And there may be 1 year where that's not true, but he's had a long career. It's pretty close. That's just one example. The other example, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold never had a completion percentage above 61.9. And he had 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm looking at his stats here, 4 years where his completion percentage was under 60. And another one, he played 1 game, 60.9. All of a sudden, he turns 27. He goes to Minnesota, 66.2. Then this year, 67.7. 2 years where he throws for over 4,000 yards. He throws 35 touchdowns and 25 touchdowns. He reduces the interceptions, though it's still too high, 12 and 14. In a full season, he played all 17 games in those years as well, did not get injured, whereas before he was getting injured and benched and mononucleosis. And his Anya is up and respectable, 6.99, 7.4. So basically turns into a functional, highly functional quarterback at age 27. So what does that tell us? Well, it just so happens that the human male brain on average doesn't complete its development until age 26. So on average, the male brain does not finish its development until age 26. And then you see with these quarterbacks, which is mainly a brain position, at age 27, all of a sudden, they start playing better. Will you see anybody else in the comment sphere talking about this? No, you will not. That is why, one of the reasons why I say this channel, the Frankie channel, is differentiated from all these other channels, and why you should subscribe here, because you get insights here that you get nowhere else. You don't want to go into the inner circle, the joinings. You don't want to give any money. All right, subscribe. That way you don't miss a thing. But this is not an infallible theory. There's going to be counter examples, but I think it's a pretty good working theory, which is why you have to take a look at the age of these people. Simpson is 23, Moore is 20. To be as good as Dante Moore is right now at age 20 is remarkable. Now, a lot of Jet fans looked at that one game versus Mendoza, which is Indiana has probably the best defense in the country, if not first, then second. And they just and Oregon had a lot of problems, like they were playing their fifth string running back and all this. And they saw he had a bad game, and they said, well, this guy stinks, because that's all they saw of him. But that is a mistake. That is a huge mistake. Does that mean I know that Dante Moore is going to be great? No, but he's got a really good chance. And maybe, I mean, does it mean he's going to take to age 27? We don't know. Averages are weird. Of course, some people, their brain will develop quicker than other people. And so we got to see, but age 27, keep it in mind as we move forward. It could be the Jets did nothing wrong with Sam Darnold or Zach Wilson. They just weren't ready. The only thing you could say maybe they didn't sort of like spoon feed them or let them ramp up, keep everything simple, because they're babies relative to the quarterback position. We have these babies. We think they're going to be good, but for now, let's keep it simple. I don't think they did that. So we'll see what we do. A lot of people are mentioning, including these two idiots on Jets' final drive, mentioning Mac Jones. The San Francisco 49ers are not trading Mac Jones for a second-round pick or anything at all. Kyle Shanahan loves Macaroni Jones. Loves him, has loved him since the draft. We could have traded $1.5 million. We could have traded that second-round pick. Let's get into that in a second. He loves Mac Jones. Brock Purdy gets hurt all the time. He likes Purdy too, but Purdy gets hurt all the time. He's not trading Mac Jones. Forget Mac Jones. They also talked about the Ben Johnson tree and the kind of quarterback that Tanner Engstrand would want. And kind of going, well, he'd want a guy in the mold of Jared Goff. Of course, completely ignoring that Ben Johnson went from Jared Goff to Caleb Williams. And look at the success they're having. That's a totally different kind of quarterback. Ben Johnson worked it out with Goff. Then he worked it out with Caleb. Let's hope Tanner Engstrand can do the same thing. But don't fall for the stupid media narratives of stupid people like Connor Hughes and Zach Rosenblather who don't understand that Ben Johnson went from Jared Goff, one type of quarterback, to Caleb Williams, completely different type of quarterback, had success with both. And then when we're talking about the defensive coordinator, this is a note too, because I believe that Country Club Connor watches this show because he's stolen many an idea and then put it out, which is totally fine. It's not illegal to steal ideas from old Frankie. It's a little unethical. Maybe somebody should handle that. But nonetheless, let me just say, when we're talking about defensive coordinators like these two idiots were can we please talk about 4-3 versus 3-4? If you don't know the basics of it, read a book called Take Your Eye Off the Ball 2.0 by Pat Kirwan, former Jets executive. It comes with a DVD. You stick the DVD in and Pat explains it all to you. And then you'll at least have the basics down so that when you're talking about Wink Martindale or Durante Jones or Brian Flores or Jim Schwartz or whoever you're talking about, you can start the discussion where it should be, which is 4-3 versus 3-4, how that's going to then affect your roster, who do we then need to get rid of, what type of players we need to import, are those players available, ... Thank you. That is an idea you can go ahead and steal, Connor. Just go ahead and fucking steal it. And then talk about it so that more fans start talking about it, because we really don't need. I thought they would blitz more. Oh, I thought they would blitz more. Oh, Sauce is gonna travel. These are the dumb things that people talk about, not understanding defense. Next, we can start talking about cover 0 versus cover 1 versus cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, quarters, cover 2, invert, man, 2-man. What about? Okay. But let's not get into that. Let's start with 4-3 and 3-4, okay? Thank you. Next, Darnold Gate. If you follow me on X, which you should, too many of you don't follow me, you would see me dunking on these fuckers, but also bringing things into the light that they say that need more light shined on them. Darnold Gate was the fact that Country Club Connor Hughes brought up the fact that the Jets were split on whether to keep Darnold or not. They've hinted at this before. They've spoken about it. But they didn't make it as crystal clear as he did in this podcast. Most of the Jets, including the coaching staff, Saleh, and the staff, wanted to keep Darnold. Joe Douglas, on the other hand, decided to do an analysis of all the quarterbacks they could get, so excluding Trevor Lawrence, and evaluate Darnold and say which one of these grades out the highest. Turns out Zach Wilson in his grading graded out the highest. Therefore, he just took Zach Wilson. This is stupid on many different levels. But if they would have listened to Saleh, we would have traded back and taken Devontae Smith was the guy we wanted. But we would have had Darnold, Devontae Smith, and depending on what the package was, many more picks and picks in the future. And then if Darnold didn't work out that year, which was expected, according to Connor, then we would have just signed Jimmy Garoppolo with a really good roster and would have run it with that. So it's kind of interesting to think about that alternate reality, that we could have had a really good team being run by Jimmy Garoppolo. And of course, if you have Jimmy Garoppolo, you need 3 backups because he's going to get injured every 2 seconds. But but when he plays, he's actually not bad. I mean, he has no physical traits whatsoever. He can't run. He has a terrible arm. But he gets rid of the ball quickly and it goes to the right place and he throws a catchable ball. That's about all he does. But he does that at a high enough rate where you can actually, win. It's kind of crazy. But how funny is it that the scenario that people like Green Bean and others were screaming about all that a whole offseason, trade back, trade out of there. About half of our organization wanted to do just that. How about that? Can you imagine? I mean, it would have been such a better move because then even if Jimmy G doesn't work out, you still have the benefit of all those picks that you got. And hopefully you hit on them, of course. And then whoever you bring in next just has a much better team and things are looking better. Instead, we went for Zach Wilson. Now, he said it wasn't a big fight between, Saleh and Douglas. They just, there was different opinions, but once Douglas made his evaluation, everybody got on board the Zach Wilson train. Joe fucking Douglas, ladies and gentlemen. Joe fucking Douglas. Yeah, the problem with that analysis, of course, is that he didn't weigh the risks properly. He didn't weigh the risks, and he didn't weigh. Well, this is how Sam Darnold has performed, but he's performed this way with a terrible team around him and a terrible play caller. How about if you gave him some tools and weapons and protection and play calling? And how can you do that evaluation and think it's all on an even playing field? Not to mention that was the COVID year. It was a very strange year in college. BYU didn't play in a respectable conference at that time, so they didn't play a lot of high-level competition. There was nobody in the stands. How the hell could you do an evaluation of a person like a Justin Fields, which basically he's saying Wilson graded out higher than Fields. He was in that same draft. And Mac Jones and Trey Lance and Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold. Those are all different things. Trey Lance played at North Dakota State or some fucking place. How the hell do you grade that? And then you have people like Mac Jones playing in the SEC at Alabama, the highest level, and Justin Fields, Ohio State, next highest level, very close. And, Justin Fields playing in the playoff, the college football playoff, and playing against Trevor Lawrence and all these things. And Zach Wilson's over here playing in the Potato Bowl or whatever. I mean, very strange to think that you can equate all those things. Maybe he had weights and balances in it, but still, man, they thought Zach Wilson was going to be a superstar. That's basically what that's telling you, and that's what Connor said. They thought Zach Wilson was going to be a superstar. Just our luck, he wasn't. And now we have the second pick again, and we may not be able to get the guy we want, because I guarantee you the guy we want right now is obviously Mendoza. All right, let's check for some late breaking news, even though it's not on the ticker. Just make sure before we go off the air that there's no late breaking news. There is something. From Pete Thamel. Sources, Oregon tight end Kenyon Sadiq is leaving school early to declare for the NFL draft. He's Mel Kiper's number 1 ranked tight end and the number 10 overall player. Now, this is an exciting player, not really for us, but it's good that he's coming into the draft because that's a top 10 player coming in. So other people will drop down. He's definitely number 1 tight end. This is definitely the right move. Also could indicate though not really. Something with Dante Moore. In other words, if Moore was going back to school, maybe he would go back, but that's not true. The fact of the matter is, this was the right choice for this prospect here. So Kenyon Sadiq confirms leaves school early. We also heard Amari Washington and that their linebacker Tui Tapalota or something like that. I can't pronounce all those Hawaiian names, Polynesian names. I'm sorry. Tui Lapa, I don't know. The linebacker, 44. He's going back to school. Amari Washington going back to school. Bear Washington. Amari. Amari Washington. Amari. God damn it. Bear Alex. That's what it is. Bear Alexander and Amari Washington. I got them mixed up. I thought they were both going to come out. They're both going back to school. Both very exciting prospects for next year. So that's the late breaking news here. Kenyon Sadiq. So, but a lot of the Oregon players now are making their intentions clear. The other tight end from Oregon is going back to school also. Jamari Johnson. He could have been a first round pick or second round pick for sure. But he's going back to school as well. So some of their kids are going back, some are coming out. So it doesn't tell us a whole lot really about what Dante Moore is going to do. And Mylan Graham's going to Notre Dame. Yeah. Well, no Dante Moore news, no Jet news. That's about it. Harbaugh out. Tomlin out. Stefanski out. Frankie out.